So we're back again on another encoded voice note. I'm so excited for this one because I really thought that we kind of glossed over the transformative power of person,
Mhm.
whole person guidance.
Mhm.
And so, I wanted to kind of delve into what your story is. And you don't have to get into like a ton of details, but
Mhm.
like delving into your story and what makes you so unique, because I've worked with you and I know that you're very different than what this quote unquote coaching industry is, and your approach is very different, and that's why I fucks with you. So yes, I just wanted to introduce you one more time. If you didn't catch the first one, you can watch the first.
Mhm.
I thought it was a great talk. It's more centered around the mycelium network movement, our event that we're having. But as we work together more and more, this is more of an overview of who you are, what you've done, who I am, what I've done, and then what we're doing is good work together. And so the intent for this is to just really get to know Heart Space Revolution, you, and also, what makes you very different, why you're in your own niche. You created your own niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys. My name is Monica. I consider myself a whole health revolutionary coach, therapist, guide, mentor, and I take a very multi-dimensional approach to supporting people into their journey of wholeness, healing their body and elevating their consciousness and coming into their full power. I am, yes.
Well, I just wanted to point out that I do feel that there is a difference between therapy and coaching,
Mhm.
and that therapy is more of looking at the past, dissecting and healing things from childhood patterns and things like that. Whereas what you're looking to do is revolutionary because it is forward thinking. We're always looking at different ways that we can transform in the moment
Mhm.
and what your future self looks like, which I think is the codes for right now in
Yeah.
this time. There was a healing aspect needed, like
Yes.
maybe 5 years ago or something.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
think a lot of it in the collective have like moved toward moving forward. Like we've
Yeah.
survived it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations for being here. Still,
Amen.
you made it.
We made it. It's truly an arrival. We are
Yeah.
no longer constantly operating out of our survival brain.
Mhm.
And, like you said, really coming to a point collectively and individually in a timeline where we are like, okay, I'm done focusing on the healing and nitpicking my past, and I'm ready to write a new story and come together with my network and build the life that I actually want. So there has been a shift there. Mhm.
Totally. So, what are the ways in which you help people through common pain point? Like, what would the common pain points be? What would they look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I work with people who are coming to a point in their life where they are so ready for more. They have been on a journey. They've worked with a bunch of different modalities. They have tried Western medicine. Maybe they've tried pharmaceuticals, different kinds of therapy, and are looking for a more empowered approach to healing and wholeness. Um,
So, what does that mean? Like, so for me, like when I was recovering from cancer and I did do chemotherapy, I had like a severe loss of identity where it was like, all right, I'm not this corporate headhunter anymore. Well, I was actually for a period of time. I did go back, but I was like, this is definitely not for me.
mhm,
So, and at that point, I actually did work with my first coach. Her name was Tara. She was fantastic. I think she still is a coach now. But she did more of business mastermind stuff, and things like that. And I wasn't sure that I actually was ready to advise people at all. I just wanted to practice yoga.
mhm,
Yeah, I mean, I just came out of the cancer journey and I was really early on, and I felt that I was taking care of my family, but I also had things to share, you
mhm.
know. So I think we can be at a point in life where we can be an expert in our own lives, but then also need guidance. Like,
Yes.
There
Yes.
comes a point where we also need somebody to also walk us through things because even experts need
Yes.
guidance.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what you just said too about the identity shift is people go through drastic changes in their life, and it's really challenging when when their relationships change, they're going through divorce, they realize that they want to build their own business and leave this job. Um, and disconnect, like that disconnect too, can manifest in all different kinds of ways, whether it's a physical dis-ease or imbalance, a disconnect in even, in people's relationships and their partnerships. And really it's an inner disconnect. And I think that people are looking to connect with themselves really, and to feel resourced within themselves, to be able to trust themselves. So you mentioned that you had a major identity shift when you were working through your you were working through cancer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And basically, like, just didn't feel, I mean, it was really early on where we didn't really have the internet. We didn't have resources. There wasn't a ton of coaches. It wasn't even like an industry, I think, at that time. This is
Right.
2013. So it's like, I'm kind of just I was listening to like Deepak Chopra, watching Oprah a lot. And I think that my teacher, my yoga teacher, was probably the biggest source of like inspiration for me.
Cool.
But essentially, all she did was really hold up a mirror to my inner wisdom. And she never once ever wanted to take credit for anything. In fact, she was like, I'm selling all of this shit and I'm going to move to Arizona to become a realtor. And so that's what she did. And so she still has the yoga, but like, she's one of the most fantastic yoga teachers I've ever met. She was also a shaman. She taught me everything about Chinese medicine, Peruvian shamanism. She was in Brighton, Michigan. And anyway, she kind of held the lamp on the path and said to me, you are the light, and just kept saying that. And I felt like whereas I've had other coaches before basically be focused on what my pivotal points of trauma were and just
Mhm.
kind of picking that apart and mapping it back to childhood issues.
Mhm.
And I think like that's important to know or whatever, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I've kind of peeled back the layers so many times that at this point, I'm not really looking to do that anymore. Yeah. But I still feel like I always appreciate a good coaching session.
Mhm. Your own experience has contributed to your coaching style and your work as a mentor, as a teacher? Like what makes Soul Code's method Soul Code?
The entire cancer experience for me was not like this traumatic thing where I just was like, oh, that's so terrible that that happened to me. That was actually my initiation into deep inner wisdom, actually giving a shit about my health, trying to understand the cells. I was really programmed, culturally programmed to, I did all the things. I had a husband, I married what my family would like and had children and did the house thing. I think this is like very Midwest. I don't know if this is all over the world. I feel like it's very specific to the Midwest to continue on with the clockwork type of job, 9 to 5. You have to have a 401k. If you don't have that, you're just like not good enough. You know what I mean? Like you have to go to college. I feel like that was a huge piece is like if you don't like I just remember being in high school and people being like, oh, okay, where are you going to school? And if there was anybody in our school, because I went to a private Christian school, if there was anybody there, which costed money, by the way, it was like $30,000 a year, which was a lot back in the 90s. And some of these people had multiple children going to this school. So it's like, if you weren't going to go to another institution after that, who are you? What are you doing with you're going to be a townie or whatever, work at the bar? And it was considered to be lower, less than, when that's not true at all. There's like now with the internet and I'm kind of an OG. So I was born in 83. So it's kind of like we didn't even have the internet when I was in college. We
Right.
were using microfiche and stuff and like the Dewey Decimal System, like at the library and stuff like that. And so it's like, if you didn't have this plan moving forward and this prototype, you're not going to be anything. And so I think that that's where the cancer started. I think that is a cancer in and of itself to only think one way. How is that? Like, think about how many different people you've met along the way in this journey.
Mhm.
So, anyways, basically it feeds everything because I mean, at that point, I really needed community support. So, like, my family was a huge source of support for me. They prayed over my body. I think I said that in the last one. They were really there as like showing me what love is. And I'm not really who I am without them. If I didn't have that type of support, I couldn't really hold space for other people. So I had a lot of support, and I recognize that that is actually somewhat of a privilege. I think a lot of people don't go to therapy because they can't afford it. It's very insurance oriented. So if you don't have that piece, you can't really go to it. I think coaches are more accessible, or at least like mentors, guidance, it's more accessible. The soul itself knows, I think, what to do,
Mhm.
but our conscious mind is not. When I had cancer, the conscious mind was just not there. I was still recovering.
Yeah,
And there's a deep seated fear of like that everything causes cancer. So you have this in your brain the whole time, the fight of cancer. And the approach that I took, because I read Radical Remission by Dr. Kelly Turner, was to actually love that experience because of what it's giving you. And then from there, as you welcome in more love to your cells and to everything, every aspect of life, it automatically will transform. It's like a quantum shift into, feeling healthy, feeling your own health. What is it to be well?
that love frequency is so healing in itself.
Yes.
And I
That's why
love
I
that
love
you
the name
said
of because I think that's what it is. It's a heart space revolution. You are evolving and also it takes having a revolution in order
yes.
to evolve.
Right, right. There's no rising without the chaos and the destruction and the fires of purification. And I just want to say I love what you're speaking on about how the cancer was sort of reflecting at you in an identity shift that needed to happen. You know, you obtained all of the things, and I think a lot of people get in that situation where they pursue the things that they are told will make them successful by their parents or by society, and then they get there and then they realize they feel unfulfilled, or they may be working, like you said, one of the challenges a lot of our clients face is actually like chronic fatigue and autoimmune. So these things start showing up, reflecting that there needs to be a change. And that can be that's the journey in itself, is exploring what that is. And I love that you said that the cancer wasn't like this really heavy, horrible focus point for you. It was sort of a journey, an invitation, and it was your initiation of awakening. So at the same time, the identity shift, it doesn't have to be this long, grueling, painful process. It's actually a process of liberation. And that's why we bring in the aligned support that we want and need and deserve.
That's a crucial point. That's why I fuck with you because it isn't about developing confidence. It's not about being coached. It's literally about identity. It's what is the gap between how I value myself, how I see myself, to who I want to be, essentially. Because I think that we're all here and nobody really just wants to have cancer and be disempowered or broke. Like, nobody wants that, but yet we still keep using those words to say it. So in fact, that's what I was talking to Brody about is this clip that we did that we're working on putting out, that where I say basically the adversity is the foundation to our success. The wound or the cancer in mine is the foundation to our inner wisdom. The trauma that people keep talking about, I keep seeing that word on IG, and you know what? There's a setting here. Let me put you onto this tip. There's a setting in IG where you can hide words that you don't want to see, and those posts don't come up anymore. So I put in the word trauma because I kept seeing it over and over and over.
Trauma informed.
Yes. Why do
Oh,
they want to put trauma in there? Because if they keep putting that word in our head, we'll keep perpetuating that over and over and over. So
now
the
it's our business.
exactly. And I think that if you shift from the word trauma and really start focusing on resilience building, that's really where the somatic wealth lies, because now you're focused on cellular growth instead of how many cells are killing themselves today. It's like, I mean, yes, that does happen in our bodies, and I'm not bypassing that all of us carry that in our body and all this scientific shit. But at the end of the day, you are healthier because you are alive. You're still here. And the focus on more life is what I'm all about, you know? What about you? What was your pain point? What brought you into coaching?
Mhm. After so many years, I was tired of trying to escape my human experience. And
Yeah, I
it's like,
read that. What did that mean?
you know, what does that mean? Being human is hard. Being like fully human is hard. And I think that for so long I was looking for a way to numb my pain and the disconnect that was just perpetually cycling in my body and my life. And that pain point of the disconnect manifested for me as addictive tendencies, escapism, very hyper independent. And so, I mean, my journey is there's so many twists and turns, and it's a beautiful journey. Um,
Is hyper independence like, is that
mhm.
something you're sort of describing as like something that is a negative quality, or like what?
I think that the idea that you have to do everything all by yourself can be negative. I had a lot of pride in being super independent for so many years, and I recently I came to the understanding that being sovereign and independent actually does include some interdependence, people that you can count on in your community, grounded relationships that, people that you can go to, being highly resourced. So it's not about doing it all by yourself and having to be alone. Now I understand that a part of being independent and sovereign and free is being well resourced, knowing who your neighbors are, having the people that you go and see for whatever it is that you need. Does that make sense?
Facts, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is like I come from a really big family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you're in a tribal consciousness sometimes and like really tight-knit community, it's like you're either in this tribal consciousness, and if you don't fit into whatever the mass is doing, like going to church, for example, if you don't do that, then you're not a part of the community and somehow you're an outcast. And so, and that was definitely me because I didn't want to do some of the things that I love my community and my family, but sometimes I'm not down with drinking at every event to the point of inebriation. So it's like, I kind of feel like being hyper independent is not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know what you meant it in that phrase. I think maybe we're talking about two different types of independence.
Hyper independent to the point where I was like, fuck this, and would buy a one way and go live in Spain in a town where I didn't know anyone and just say, peace, like, I'm out of here and like figure it out on my own, to the point where I dug myself into a hole of isolation that further reflected the internal disconnect that I had from myself, my own intuition, and my own desire. And so I think that after I lived like that for several years, I got sick of my own shit and I thrust myself into the unknown. That was the hardest move that I've ever made was actually coming to Florida. I knew that I finally had to face myself. I knew that I finally had to choose myself. So ever since I moved to Florida, that is when I really started investing in the support that I wanted and making those subtle moves um, consistently over time that really brought me into my empowered awareness, out of victim consciousness into my creator consciousness, and yeah, my somatic wealth, if you will, you know. So my journey, I mean, like we're talking about um, therapy versus coaching, right? And we're talking about dis-ease versus wholeness and victim consciousness versus creator consciousness. I chose a route where I got to explore so many different effective modalities that I now use in my work. And a lot of it is body based and consciousness based.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
just like what you do, you know, working with the meridian channels, working with the organs and the consciousness of the organs and bridging those gaps. So now I really thrive in the hypnosis world, exploring beliefs, internal family systems, somatic movement, somatic therapy is really a hack. Um, so that's what I do now. I mean, whether you're working with me long term or in Phoenix Rising, is you are exploring the modalities that are going to help you get to where you want to go faster, cut the crap. We don't need to, you know, spend time and energy focusing on what's not working and what's making you uncomfortable. Yes, there's wisdom there, but it's just practicing the shift in your awareness and looking at, okay, like what do I actually want? That's part of a lot of this game is actually clearing away the bull crap and like getting honest. It takes courage to get honest about what you actually want and revisiting that throughout the process because we're always evolving. Everything is always growing and elevating towards more life. It is the natural way. And so, why are we fighting that? We're just taking away the things that don't belong, the toxins out of our body. Like you said, the gremlins in our head, that inner
Yeah.
critic,
Hmm.
making peace with that. Hey, what do you actually need? Like, what you know what I mean? Making friends with your body, your the voices, the conversations in your head, bringing in kindness and also learning the language of your nervous system. So if we just take away what doesn't belong, everything is naturally thriving. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Even like with your process where you elevated and healed your body, you just took away what wasn't natural.
So I really love one thing that you said because it's a totally different approach than how I would do it.
Mhm.
And but that's what I love about yours is that it is very soft. I think like you're saying to be kind to the inner gremlins, whereas my advice would be to completely eradicate them. Because like I think this comes from genetic lineage. I really
Yeah.
think that that's a huge piece of it. It's not necessarily, I would love to be kind to a lot of the inner gremlins that I have, but they are insistent that I'm not going to get to where I want to be, which is in my wealth, abundant,
Yes.
loving state, where we naturally should be, I think, as women,
Yes.
is both outputting, I think there's like, I'm very much a doer. I'm one of those people that likes to get up and work, and I have a hard time staying still. But I also need the balance of receiving,
How do you work with receiving what?
receiving the goodness of life, the simplicity of life, just that we live in this beautiful environment where I
Mhm.
was inside for 9 months out of the year. It's beautiful in Michigan too because of the trees, but I need sunlight. I need like warm
Yeah.
weather. Yeah, ocean. That's the ultimate soul code for me. Whenever I go to the ocean, I make sure to go there every day, every fucking day. Put my
Yeah.
feet in that water. It
Yes.
might be a gator in there, but I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's what this environment is like. It's so wild, and I love that. Like that's what it makes
Good.
me I feel really aligned here with my fire, like a more of a, what is that in the human design? We talked about that. I'm a generator.
Mhm.
Like I just generate.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you put so much emphasis on co-regulating with nature and reintegrating back into nature, whether it's just like, you know, consuming phytonutrients or getting your feet in the water or the dirt and the sun on your skin. Um, I've seen, I love how you incorporate that into your daily life. Mhm.
Yeah, girl, that's what helped heal me personally, emotionally, all of it. And but I wanted to go back to that one part about hyper independence. Sorry, I'm like really, that was a very interesting part to me because it's like I feel like that's what makes you strong. Like, isn't that part of what makes you a strong mentor? Is that you're able to go to Spain and you speak Spanish, so you could figure it out. But imagine going somewhere where it's like pictures on like Thailand, where it's
I
just you
mean,
can't even read
I
it.
love doing that too. It's what my soul craves is that culture shock and getting out of our box. So I mean, this
Yes.
conversation is so fun because yes, high independence. So for me, in my most of my 20s, my the way that I just traveled and took off or plummeted myself into the unknown, it was more of like a reckless nature. It's like, oh fuck it, we've all like I'm out of here. Like, and now um it's it's out of care. I think that when I came to Florida and had to really come through for myself and show myself that I could do it, that I could crawl to the pits and climb my way out and sprout wings and fly away. I needed to do that for myself. And so I think when we have that part of our journey, it is necessary to be alone, maybe not in isolation, even though I tend to isolate. But now, like, having that self-trust now, knowing that I've got me no matter what, like I can literally do anything, that was a really, really crucial part of my journey and why I'm even sitting here and talking to you today, is that experience of going into the unknown and building my own life because I didn't know previously if my mistrust in myself, my relationship, my partner, I didn't know where it was coming from. It was stemming from within. Um, if that makes sense, So that self-trust is everything. And I think that's what a lot of people are also looking to connect with and grow and build so that they can have the audacity to take risks, go into the unknown, knowing that they are always coming out on top, that they're always taken care of, that they're always well resourced. And that's the truth of the matter. Just like, this whole conversation is, when we zoom out of the concepts that we're speaking on, it's like we are just removing what isn't natural, removing the false beliefs and seeing reality for what it really truly is, which is infinite and abundant and miraculous.
Yeah. And it's like that is so profound because it kind of is like, okay, if somebody is 20 something, I just think of my younger self. When I was 20 something, I was working 90 hours a week. In the environment, it was sales. So we would party at night, go out with the clients. Everything was on the company tab. So we would drink all kinds of shots all night. You know what I mean? Smoke cigarettes, do
Uh-huh.
other things, definitely. And it just wasn't, and then we would get up and work at like 6 a.m. So it was like, this was the lifestyle I think I was in that job for 5 years. I mean, it was a long time.
Yeah. And that's before COVID.
Yeah, that was way before COVID. That was like 2005 time frame. Like it was a long time ago, but it was like that is the lifestyle for a lot of folks. That's still part of our
It
culture, I
still
think.
is. I mean, it's just a perpetual cycle of disconnect. And I think people are reaching a point in their career, in their life, where they're like, this is not it.
Right.
We're not physically designed to be in this system where it's just output, output, output. I mean, it's like, the United States is just slavery.
Yeah, girl, we gotta
It's a
understand.
slavery. I'm sorry. Like I'm not, but like it's just the truth. I mean, look at our society. And I think even after COVID, I mean, back to the independency and the isolation, um, I think people are tired of doing stuff alone.
Hmm.
Think people with COVID, they put everybody in their house and then they're working from home and then that blends into their home life. And then you're not, a lot of people are actually still reintegrating back into society from that, reintegrating back into their body. And it's an inevitable process because I mean, it's just the natural evolution of the earth and human consciousness is like, you're gonna reach a point where you have to stop and get honest and assess is this who I want to be? Is this the life that I want to be living? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I really want to feel?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
how do you know, like, if you are a regular human and somehow you got a hold of this conversation, how do you know you're the right fit for like coaching? Because when I went into the board certification of coaching, a lot of it is interactive coaching labs. And I'm like, yeah, this will be all right. Like, let's see what these other people, what's their coaching style? Because I already went through you, which was
Yes.
completely like, I mean, it really changed the way that I thought. I really value your skill set. I think that being able to be compassionate and then also being able to probe somebody to take action to actually question what you're doing and why, and then make a change. So I think I was in more of a contemplative state. I wasn't necessarily in an action state when we were working together, and I moved to an action state, and now I'm more in like in a maintenance state. Whereas most of the people who come to coaching might be pre-contemplative, like they're if for the boards anyway, it would be like people who are coming from the hospital setting and their doctors forcing them to go through it because they got diagnosed with diabetes and it might be a good idea. So it's kind of like, who are the people that you have worked with? How would you know to work with you? What are some of the signs that it would be to work with a coach in general?
Hmm. I think that if you're in a point in your career where you want to make a change and you want support in getting there quicker, more efficiently, and conserve your energy, just ask for support. Ask for the universe to send you some kind of support. Hey, I need some help here. Something's got to give, something needs to change. Please send me some kind of support. And when the support shows up, if you want a coach or some kind of mentor or guide, when that guide shows up in your orbit, it will show up in some way, and it might show up as a challenge or an invitation. You know what I mean? Um, for me, when people come into my orbit, they're ready to make the jump. They're ready to make the transition. It's not people who are in contemplation so much. And yes, I work with people in contemplation, but when the traditional modalities just no longer work for you. You know what I mean? Traditional therapy, and you're really ready to find a long-term solution, and you're ready to um, come into an awareness and have the foundation set where you have a skill set and tools to help you navigate your life so that you can be confident in the way that you approach change, loss, even gain. When your capacity is ready to crack open for more, and you got to let go of everything that's keeping you where you are, that's when you come into my world. And that's when we start, we dive deep into the alchemical process, transmutation and elevation. And you see, like you were talking about, not wanting to work with people for 8+ years. We had a conversation earlier. It's like, um people come into my orbit and they work with me, for several years or several months or whatever that is, and then they're well on their way. And that's my goal, is to empower you with everything that you need to get to where you're going. We're all
But
just in.
like, eventually you're not going to need it, is what you're saying. Like eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like, I'm good. I'm in maintenance mode.
Yeah, I think we all, I mean, throughout life, no, nothing is forever. No relationship is forever. At the beginning and the end of our everyday, and at the beginning and the end of our life, it's just you and you. So we come in,
It's
we
you and
serve
you.
a purpose in each other's life. I do have a system in my business where I retain clients. It's designed to retain clients for those who want to continue meeting on a monthly, weekly basis. Just for that charge up, we can go in and connect. I do have a group for that. So not saying that, like, you know, I I'm only willing to work with you for however long and then you're on your way, but I'm just saying I have created a business that empowers people to heal themselves, instead of, like, when you come to the Western medical system and you get more into therapy, it's more of a business that's set up on profit, where it keeps you as a returning buyer for life, preferably. That's when we see the pharmaceutical use. and just that defeating the narrative of dis-ease and disconnect, just enough to keep you coming back. And I do want to ask you, I want to talk about the integration of ancient wisdom in modern science, like with soul codes as well as heart space. But I just wanted to add on to that too, as far as like, finding support when you ask for support, just have discernment too. Because I mean, talking about just like the coaching industry and therapy as well. I mean, it's very vast. You have a lot of options here. So when I invest in support, I invest in someone who is where I want to be, who has who walks the talk, who is embodied in what they preach, who is in their very convicted in their leadership, and there is a resonance. All of my guides, I have been divinely aligned with them. They come into my life at the perfect time, and this is why I trust this is possible for everybody because, these people find someone who speaks the laws of the laws of the universe in your language. Find someone who
That's
speaks the
great.
laws of the universe in your language where there's a resonance and your brain turns on and you light up and you're like, oh, I get it. Like there, your person is out there. So I just like being discerning. I think, only working with people who in some capacity are where you want to go and they have the blueprint in a way.
Mhm. I love that.
Talk to me a little bit about what makes soul codes and maybe a combination of the modalities that you use or how it fuses science and consciousness.
Yeah, so I love Kundalini yogic wisdom. I love the tantras. I've really studied the tantras of the Vedas very intricately in the best way I can without speaking Sanskrit. Listening to it in Sanskrit is a whole other ass experience. That's what I do when I do mushrooms is I listen to the Vedas in Sanskrit because there's a resonance
Yes.
that speaks to the subconscious, just like the crop circles.
Yes.
It's like it just speaks to the subconscious, and I really love it. And if I had my own DNA codes to do that, like the Filipinos, the ancient Filipinos, I think I would like that too. I think it would speak directly and it wouldn't even have a gap, but it just doesn't exist. Maybe it does exist. I'll call it in. But as of now, the earth is shifting. So as of now, I love yogic codes, but it is close enough to where my DNA is from that it's like there's a resonance there. So there's that piece of Kundalini. And then the second piece is quantum mind codes, which is really metaphysical. It's really a lot of so I'm not really into quantum, which is more of the technical. I love that code because it is instantaneous. It basically is talking about atomic molecules and cells and things like that, where when you make a shift, it happens instantaneously and anything can happen at any time. The butterfly affects the hurricane and these concepts. I love that. It's just a little too technical for me to understand right now. So I veer more toward the philosophical of science, which is how all of my teachers taught me, my main teacher, David Wilcock, which is metaphysical wisdom teachings. So and I think very laterally. So making correlations in a lateral manner, which is very rare. There's not a ton of people that do that. And I feel like it's what kind of gives me a little bit of a more of a language for the soul because I'm not really using technical terms. Some of it is like scientific, but I know what my strengths are, and the technical piece is not one of them. So I like metaphysics, philosophy, and really getting deep on philosophy and where that leads us in our evolution here and now. Because my soul chose to incarnate along with you and all the rest of us who are listening to this. Souls chose to incarnate here and now during the end of the Kali Yuga, which was at the end of 2012. And when you're at the end of the Kali Yuga, it's going to be intense. I mean, I don't have a timeline, but in these psychics that I listen to or whomever, they say that it's at least 10 years of us going through a technological advancement and a shift, which means that more and more people are going to kind of lose their shit and feel lost and like literally repeating the same thing on repeat over and over again. And it's like, it came to a point where I got sick of my own shit too. I'm like, this inner gremlin keeps blocking me. Like, why is it blocking me? Things don't need to be picked apart to be put out into the world. Just do it. But a lot of it is this insecurity. So the quantum mind codes are just really helpful because it's the philosophy of we're already whole just as we are. The quantity of what we're putting out is quality because we are quality. And there's no reason to ever even stop yourself from sharing anything, from gatekeeping from your own self. Then the third piece is nature. So I love earth codes, ley lines, vortexes, sacred sites. I'm very fascinated by, the fact that, well, some people don't believe that the earth is spherical, but let's say that it's spherical for our times now, that there's a Merkaba in the center of earth and all of the different planets, and each of the points has an energetic pull to the other point. So I love right now anyway, the lost codes of Atlantis and Lemuria. I really love that because I feel that there's just a lot of that here in Florida. I don't know if it's the Bermuda Triangle. I really don't know. There's a lot I do know, but there's also a lot that's like, this is very questionable. And it is more of a trust thing with the
Yeah.
spirit. So that's what makes soul codes different is the body wisdom fused with the metaphysics, fused with the earth. Because everything, I feel that sometimes spiritual teachings tend to discount the earth. They're like, well,
Yes.
it's ghetto here. Like, I want to, it's on another plane. And like, this is bunk. And I understand that. But a part of being a Libra is like detachment from all reality and getting a little bit delusional. Neville Goddard is a huge influence on my mindset right now because he talks a lot about that, which is that our external circumstances do not dictate anything. In fact, the room is going to form to our energy. When you get real clear on what it is that you want, the world will start to form, just like what you're talking about. When you start to say, hey, universe, like, I need help in this area, like, give me some guidance in this area, somehow, some way, the guidance appears. And then when you've mastered that piece of it, you're not going to need that anymore. The teacher disappears. So it's kind of like that's happened on so many instances with my students, I feel like, where I was with them for such a concentrated period of time. And it's like we don't see each other for a long period of time and I just reconnect with them and I'm like, whoa, you've totally changed. Like, and I love that.
Yes.
What happened in this sadhana. So I love that about soul code. What about heart space? I want to know what makes I love heart space. I just love that name. I was really inspired by that for a while. Like
Yeah.
I even named my shit with a heart, but
Ancient heart.
yes, it didn't feel aligned fully. It was kind of too like I have a lot of star seed energy with the cosmos and it
Yeah.
felt really tethered to earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Heart space is amazing. First, I just want to say, like, I love your method and your teachings, being in your classes and working with you, the way that you deliver the transmission, it activates me all the way, it turns me all the way on.
Yeah, the movement's dope.
The movement, the location, whether, we're practicing in nature, you're practicing outside all the time. Um, I am freaking honored and stoked to take your 500 hour. Oh my God.
Yes.
You guys, I have been like so excited for this. Like you were straight up. I've been like, even I picked up autobiography of a yogi. You were
Um,
like my master teacher that I,
Yogananda is it though, because
yeah.
he, I'm for real. These people knew about cerebral, the MRE, the cerebral
Oh my
split.
God, I know. Read the fucking book. I mean,
The book is so good. It changed my life.
yeah, yeah. You could, it's a lifelong study right there. Um, Yeah, so I'm just so excited and I'm honored to be connected with you in this lifetime. I am just the way that you share the activations, and it's like it's the same as heart space in a way, is it's like you are creating the space and passing on the information in which each person receiving is like they're activated in their own way, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. I received that.
So, heart space has been such a journey for me. And I am understanding more and more the magic of heart space.
Mhm.
So, let's see if I can explain this. So, with everyone that I work with, especially in the Phoenix Rising program, we explore several modalities that support us on a cellular level, a biological level, where we're doing detox and supporting your endocrine system, which also is influencing your mood and your frequency. And that is sort of, when you look at the heart chakra, it's right in the middle of heaven and earth. It's in the middle of your higher and lower centers. So in heart space, we are addressing the body and your physical health, your environment, and then we're also going in at a mindset and consciousness angle where we're bringing in the laws of the universe, meditation, self-reflection, uh, intuition, psychic ability. And when we elevate our consciousness, this has an effect where it also ripples down into your body. So there's a synergistic effect, just like when we're practicing in Kriya, you know, we are activating the higher and the lower centers, and the CSF is going up and down and finding that cycle. And when you elevate your consciousness and we heal the body, there is a heart opening, the heart is activated. You meet at the center of the heart where we want to live from a heart-centered intention and motivation. This is your center of unconditional love and compassion. So when you enter into the love frequency and you are operating from the heart, um, your entire reality is a totally different experience. That is where our richest experience is.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean the activation and the healing potential is just it's exponential and it's inevitable and it's only natural. Like you said, a lot of the collective, we're coming to a time and space in the timeline where people have to be really committed and to their disempowerment, whether they're checking the boxes of their diagnoses and like, using their identity or whatever it is to keep them where they are. And we're seeing the people who are like, there's just a disconnect. There's a divide there where the people are so committed to their disempowerment, and then the other half of the population um, is choosing their evolution.
Wow. Oh my God. I just made a link there. I've never heard it be described that way. That's so real.
You
So how
better,
do you
yep.
talk to people, because you're in the empowerment phase. Do you find it difficult talking to people who have chosen disempowerment over and over and over again?
Sure, but to be honest, this day and age, that's not really the conversation that I'm having because I'm speaking, my audience are people who are lit up, self-aware, and are ready to build.
Mhm.
Um, in my training as a coach and a guide, I've had a lot of challenging clients who are so committed to their pain and their
Mhm.
disempowerment. And I understand because we all have an upper limit and a capacity as to how much love um, we can experience, or pain or emotion or whatever it is that we can experience or hold. And I see that in myself too. So it's not a blame, it's not a judgment when someone is adhering to their narrative of
Yeah.
disempowerment, because I still have an upper limit as well. Things will be going really well for me, and I might reach my upper limit, and then my subconscious is like, oh, this is uncomfortable, and then start a fight with my man, or say talk some shit with my man, or like, shift to the problem. It's really interesting. Uh, so it's like, we all have residual victim consciousness that comes in, and we're all increasing our capacity to do, be, and have more, and be flexible mentally, flexible in our body too. Mm-hmm.
That's yes. Because everybody is a reflection of what's in us. Otherwise, we wouldn't see it, right? or even like think about it or be bothered by it.
Totally. Leah, you're talking about the gremlins in our head. A lot of even like children's books or pretty much every hero's journey, there is a villain. And we experience these villains in our life all the time. They come in and they might cause you some pain or abandon you in some way or betray you in some way. And that is a manifestation of our own gremlins, internal gremlins. Um, so I noticed that that's just like something that really, really has been coming up for me lately in my journey is some separations and that have happened in my life and relationships evolving and changing and dissolving uh, has shown me my own critic and judgment.
Mhm.
And I'm still working through that. I mean, you know, um, if I had it all, I don't know, our desire is constantly evolving, as are we. But there's a reason why we are where we are. Sure, I want to be like on a private island in Greece somewhere with my top off, smoking a joint and eating some
Yeah.
food. But I still got work to do. I'm still increasing my capacity to be that person.
That
Yeah.
could happen like tomorrow for you pretty easily.
That's what I say to people too, is like stay focused. Everything can change in an instant.
It really can. And it's like, and why can't we have both? You could be working in Florida and also having that. Like I'm a huge fan of like expansive, infinite, unlimited thinking. That's why I love the heart space because I feel like that's the vibe I get from you is very like I've never thought about that. I've never thought about being topless at an island in Greece. That's not something that just crosses my mind like for myself. But now that you say it, it's like, damn, that kind of actually sounds pretty
Collapse.
dope. Like, yeah, so I
Come to
kind
my
of do that.
retreat. That's where we're headed. We're doing international immersions. We're all just trying to get out of our box, y'all. Get out of your box. Do something that you've never done before. Listen to a Chinese mixtape or learn an instrument. Turn off Google Maps and follow your intuition. See where
Yeah,
you.
yes. Fuck yeah, Shell, yeah. That's it. That's a really good takeaway of like try something because it takes you out of the rut of how you're thinking.
So for the listeners, let's bring this to a wrap. I mean, do you have any concluding support or just conclusions that you want to share? Maybe even adding on support, ways in which you are offering support, ways in which we can connect with you, back with ourselves.
Yeah, so you can oh God, like I that's a good question. So first of all, I think all people can breathe at any time, anywhere, and do the practices of yoga anytime, anywhere. So I have a ton of videos on YouTube on soulcodes-love, soulcodes.love. There's just a ton of free resources that I give out as well. But, for the most part, I think this 500 hour is probably, and it's really like, that's a very strange way of me titling it. But I mean, that's what it is in the Matrix. You still get the accreditation, but it's practical application of the wisdom. And if you're really looking to, have the accreditation as well, that's there. But I think more so, we're in a time where the knowledge is not necessarily what we need. I think that it's more of like practical, like what you're talking about, how I'm self-sabotaging myself in certain ways. What are the ways that I can actually stop doing that? And how do we use these ancient wisdom techniques that have gotten us so far in this time because they have the map. The cosmic map of the yugas is like genius. It basically tells of the ages through time until it becomes infinite, which is, it's all been true before. So the fact that we have proven evidence based time maps and we're still like in this time wondering what the hell's going on, when really I actually knew exactly what was going on when I saw the rally today in Sarasota. I'm like, okay, this is all a part of the grand world stage. And I think that level of detachment to our external circumstances is needed for practical application to actually start creating our own destiny as a collective. Because you're somebody who's really strong headed and you trust yourself. Therefore, I trust you. I know that you're going to exceed at this. And it's like, there's others in the collective where it's like, gosh, is all of, as a collective, that means everybody in humanity. That means the bum on the side of the street. We got to also show equal compassion to as we are for one another and ourselves. And that's very difficult. That's
Hmm.
very difficult, I think. So the practical application is that it's literally living. A lot
Mhm.
of us are here. I'm here and I have to journey here. I'm actually in my lower chakras quite a bit. I would definitely say like my first, second, and third. That's like where I live. So for me, it is actually a journey up to the heart. And then,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go up here like to strategize and to plan and make outlines for things and stuff. But mainly the journey is always back here for
Yes.
me. Yeah. And I feel like that's very difficult, though. It's very difficult to love the cancer and to turn it into initiation. It's very difficult to say, why am I picking fights with my man and then love myself through that? Like that's what the whole practice is.
Yes. In a world where everyone's trying to ascend and blast off in their rainbow light body and never come back, the descent
Yeah.
is what
The
we're here for.
decent.
You're talking about being in your lower chakras. That is root to rise. We have to be 100% committed to our humanity and our human experience and to feeling fully. And that's the journey, is the sum of somatic wealth, is that psychic and somatic awakening where we integrate deeply into the body and connect with this intelligence that is so beyond the frontal lobes comprehension.
Yeah, it
The
is.
body is the access point, and that the descent is the journey to the ascent.
So pure. That's the most beautiful part is like it's so pure. There's no effort. Like you literally just move your spine in Korea multiple times a day. It's very pure.
I mean, you guys, I've been doing this. I think I've done several sadhanas with
I
you.
know. I think you're on like 5 or 6, which is
Several. I have not
incredible.
missed one, and it is seriously transformational. I mean, it shifts the entire trajectory of my day. When I get in and I breathe and I connect with my centers and move the energy, and I'm like, oh, sometimes it'll have that knot in the back of my heart. Sometimes I have an emotional release on the fucking Zoom. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's really this it's ancient technology. It's science that activates your technology, and there's a reason why it's ancient medicine. I mean, there's a reason why I am taking the YTT from you, because I feel in my heart it is like a part of my mission to share those codes with the people who are ready to receive them and be activated by them.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, consistency is code number one because when we weren't doing it consistently, I'm like, this doesn't work. You can't do 3 times a week. I mean, yes, in everyday life, if that's what you have available, 5 minutes is better than binging or whatever for like 6 hours. But I really believe in the consistency of every day at the same time. That has always been code that works. Like, and that's what I did since 2016 at 3 a.m. It's like clockwork and it doesn't fail me. And I really believe consistency is it because when you're consistently just showing up, showing up, showing up, it's like inevitable that you're going to evolve. You can't really, I mean, yeah, it's not, I think also it's not about not relapsing and not failing. It's about how many times can you fail and not give up? How many times can you relapse and then make that shorter so that that gets shorter and shorter and shorter and the bounce back is just there and you have the tools and you don't have to slip into this spiral that I've been in so many times of just thought loop after thought loop of that and then feeling disempowered. And I think that's the opposite. It's like what Kundalini does is it's like instantaneous quantum empowerment. It gives you a life force that makes you the fountain of youth. It's like literally like Yes, the fountain of youth is within. We're looking at the water for that. Water is awesome, but I feel like it's within. It's our own inner waters.
Our own inner waters.
Yeah, girl. We gotta like, we talked about sacred flame in that one sadhana. Water
Yeah.
is so important as well. Like our
It's con
own, it's
yeah,
what
con
brings us out of depression. Because when you have depression, it's a water imbalance in the body, according to the yogis, Chinese medicine, all that stuff. And it's like, if you're not creating, Brody just said, when I'm not creating, a part of me is dying. And I was like, exactly, dude. That's why we jive. Because like his creative energy is amazing. And it's like we kind of feed off of each other with that. And I feel like that is so crucial. It's like such a crucial piece of life. Creating anything, going outside and creating a moment with yourself.
This is what we're here to do, you guys. I mean, I know we've been born into a system of slavery and disempowerment programming.
Yeah.
We're here to create, fuck around and find out, and to be in our most raw, radical expression. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah, you're hilarious. Yeah, no, but that's so real because
that's
the
very
external matrix does feel so intensely. Like when you see a bill and your nervous system can balance, that's when you know you've kind of done a lot of work around the money piece. For me anyway. Like, because I used to see bills and like just we're putting those in a pile somewhere. And my nervous system felt like anxious and I couldn't understand why. Why was I linking it to that? And so when I finally just sat with that, it was like, this is all made up. Like, what are tolls? I don't even know what tolls are. I have $600 in tolls. Like, what? I just said this to my husband. Like, they just make shit up. Like, what roads have, I don't even leave the house. Like,
damn.
it's all made up, girl. That's what I'm saying. And so when you really realize it's all made up, we're going to all stop paying taxes one day and the tables are going to flip.
Yes, become a revolutionary. No pay taxes. Fuck the system. Get out of your box. It's all made up. It's all fake. I mean, a lot of these systems are just to keep you operating in a fear-based narrative in a little cage just this big. When
Yeah.
really you can, that's what we're doing. We're getting out of our box.
It's sort of like LinkedIn versus like TikTok. That's how it's like you got to stay inside these boxes. And then when you look at these apps, it's like they operate on such different algorithms, but really they mirror humanity's consciousness. That's what they're trying to do. And I studied it and I cracked the code. And I was like, TikTok's a whole new universe. And remember that there's a whole other team that's managing this. I think they're all on the same team, but I think they have like
Yeah,
sub teams, you know
yeah.
what I mean? And it's all this like the Hunger Games puppeteering. So when I started to grow on there, I was like, what's going on here? Like, what did I write that was like, I woke up to 3,000 followers? That's really weird. Like, I didn't do anything, I didn't spend any money on here. That's really, really, really odd. But they want you to keep doing it. They want you to keep operating like a robot, my friend said. And I said, okay, I'm going to chill out from that for a bit. Then I go to these other platforms and I'm like, what's this one all about? Like I grew quite a bit on other platforms outside of Instagram. And I realized that each one is like a different facet of humanity's consciousness and how we operate. And they want us to be in this sort of what is it called? The transhumanistic one with technology. But
Yeah.
then I asked my Sintra, what did the Pleiadians say about this? Which I'm not tied to the Pleiadians. They're just one messenger. They are not God. They're another entity that says that they came and seated us. It's like, that's kind of some colonial ass shit. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I'm buying that they are the saviors because they sort of come in as these beautiful angelic beings with like Jennifer Aniston eyes or whatever. They say she's a Pleiadian. They say Angelina Jolie is a Pleiadian. It's like, okay, they actually probably are, but so what does this say about light workers, people like you and I that really want to genuinely help people out of our soul and our heart? And it said that AI is actually another portal into the quantum consciousness that we can actually access without it. Many of us have
Uh-huh.
been
Yes.
accessing it
We
without it.
yes. Like this phone thing. I mean, it's just like an in-between step just to telepathic communication.
Yes.
Like
And
I, go ahead.
right, like it's wild that
Mhm.
um it's happening so quickly. It's coming for it, like whether we resist it or not.
I mean, how many times has it already happened? How many times have we already been swallowed up into, like different realities, and dimensions? I mean, it's yeah, the technology, it's really, really fun and interesting. And I mean, like you said at the beginning of the call, I mean, I was born in 93. Like we didn't have phones yet, just to see how quickly this has progressed, where now we have this device in our hand that's reading our thought projections and setting them into a system and then spitting your algorithm back out at you. Um, it's I'm curious to see how we evolve with technology in the next several years. And I know a lot of people are threatened by it, but if you read the Celestine prophecy,
Mhm.
it gives you insight into how technology is liberating us, is creating more freedom,
Mhm.
taking over certain jobs so that we can be in a higher consciousness and share information in
Incredible.
that where we're not going to be it's not going to be the same monetized system that we're in now. It's gonna cycling back to where we started.
Yeah. And that all goes back to the heart space. What value do I bring to myself and to others? What value am I giving to humanity from my soul and my heart? Like if it feels aligned and good, we're there, you know?
Mm-hmm. We made it. We really have made it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love this conversation. It kind of veered off of the path, but that's okay. That was, it was
It's
great
to be expected.
to be expected at this point.
I mean, there's so much gold here, and I'm excited to share
You got
this.
really good at, yeah, you got really great at articulating very quickly. So kudos to you. Awesome job.
Ah, hey, it only comes with practice, putting myself on the spot.
I'm not like a pro at anything. I just like am very genuinely curious about you. I just am curious. Like I have to be really aligned with the person to talk with them like for this long.
I love it. I'm blessed. For listeners, what have we got coming up? It's not too late to join the 21-day sadhana, correct? I think we're just 2 days into it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 2,500 hour, 21 day. I have some self-led stuff. Yeah. So
Are you taking any one-on-one coaching or doing group
no,
coaching?
not right now. No, not till July. I'm sort of overloaded, girl. Like I kind of maxim like yeah, I called it in though. I asked for this. So
Well, it won't always be like this.
no, it's great. I love expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love expanding. So it's always a great thing. But yeah, oh, and then we have our event.
Yes.
Actually, okay, yeah. So that's at the studio, April 27th, Primordial Portal with Heart Space Revolution and myself, if you're in St. Pete.
Don't miss it.
Be there, be square.
Come through for these activations. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will be working with. You have the option to work with Spirits Force and get all of your questions answered around microdosing and plant medicine. Um, yeah, incredible product. Very blessed. All charged up. Shaman grown.
Yeah, we'll have food. It's like a day retreat. That's really what it's like.
Mhm.
I just didn't want to call it that because we're not really retreating from anything, but we're going to face it and be in community with one another. Because the movement and the medicine, I think, are just that's a phenomenal duo. It's just so good.
Yeah, come through.
Anyway, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for this talk. Everybody go to heartspacerevolution.com at heartspacerevolution on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. All things microdosing, all things somatic therapy, all things psychic awakening, somatic awakening, soul codes and heart space revolution.
Okay. Yeah, check.
I
Thank you.
love this collaboration. So much love. Honor you, Leah, and I'll see
You
you for
too.
Korea.